Hi everyone, it's James here from the Champions of Happy podcast. It is a hot day, so grab your headphones, plug them in, and go for a walk and listen to the Champions of Happy podcast. And if you go for a really long walk, listen to more episodes of the Champions of Happy podcast. And if you find the time on your walk, give us a 5-star rating and a lovely review on iTunes. That'll really help the podcast grow. Thank you so much. On this episode, I am talking to Lynsey. She is so kind, so lovely. We chatted for ages. I've had to do a fair bit of editing down on this episode. It is a bit of a longer one, but it's all totally worth it. She is the host and founder of Impossible Things, who put on performances, shows, brunches of all different themes, such as Spice Girls, Taylor Swift, The Greatest Showman, a bit of Disney. Their new project, based on Bridgerton, which will be Bruncherton at the Pleasure Gardens of Vauxhall. So excited for that. Yeah, she does it all. She's absolutely so kind, so lovely. She talks all about her past as she worked in LA, when she used to be in a girl band, and yeah, just the future. She's so lovely. So enjoy the episode, enjoy the sun as it lasts, and keep well. Thank you. Hello and welcome to the podcast, Lynsey. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Happy Friday. Oh, I like how our
you.
glasses look like they're touching each other that way. Clink.
I'll make the noise.
So the date is Friday, the 11th of June. Restrictions, lockdowns are starting to ease off. Every time I say this isn't a COVID podcast, but the question does get raised every time. How have things been for you? You all right?
Oh my goodness, what a loaded question. Do I have to answer in sound bites?
Whatever you want. It's been crap.
Well, at this point, it's 4 days before my birthday, just FYI. And we've arranged a COVID-compliant party in the garden of the house that I'm currently speaking to you at, which is my brother's in Wimbledon Park. So we've got that to look forward to, and that's all of us together. And this, for the first time, we're all vaccined up, and we're all raring to go. So that'll be really lovely. So from that perspective, it's all good. What just happened? I don't know. A year of what? I don't know. Let's forget about it. More wine.
White noise. All of it.
Yeah, no, to be honest, I never stop working. I'm one of these people that, you give me some free time, which obviously COVID did in the form of the lockdown. But I just sat there and went, right, this is an opportunity, and applied for an Arts Council grant and got the money we needed to create Once Upon a Crime online, which is our digital whodunit, immersive whodunit that I know you have played.
I have, and we are going to get to that. So let's not spoil that for the listeners just yet. Firstly, I guess let's introduce you to the listeners. Lynsey, can you please give us a very brief introduction as to who you are and what you do?
Okay. I am a singer-songwriter by trade. That's what I've done since my teens, from the East Midlands, Quorn, near Loughborough in Leicestershire, and spent most of my life in London, one way or another, studying film, fashion, and performing live, circus, cabaret, you name it, I've done it. And then I lived a little bit in LA, producing TV and film, just for a little while, for 5 years, and running a boutique record label. But I was in bands in the noughties that charted a couple of times. And basically, I'm just, if someone had to say, well, what are you? Because I'm always one of these people that's like, I did this. It's, proper Gemini. I'm a singer. I'm a singer first and foremost. If someone had to nail it down, I'd say performer, because it's easier. Then that way it covers a lot of things.
Sure.
But yeah, so that's me. Is that short enough?
That's. I mean, wow, what a list! I'm curious, what bands were you in?
So I was in a band called Girls at Play, which was around. I joined it in 1999. I'm 25, so I was very young, if not even born. And yeah, and I was in it for 3 years, and we charted in 2000 and 2001 with a song called Airhead. You can pull it up now. I will let you do that and appreciate
you keep talking,
that.
Look.
And then we've charted again with a cover of the Mel and Kim song from the 80s called Respectable. And we supported Steps on big arena tours, and we supported Hearsay on their arena tour. Yeah, that's me.
Oh my God, I do recognise this.
Aha, you should. Yeah, I mean, the people you hang out with.
I have a celebrity on the podcast.
Oh my goodness, it's like you just didn't even know. So I thought that was the reason. I'm shocked that you don't have us on repeat on your Spotify already.
I mean, now I'm going to. Oh my god, what a dream! What kind of stuff did you produce in LA then for TV wise?
So it was one of those things serendipitous. I went over there, and there was a couple of people I met, and one of them saw what I was up to, and just knew me from my music past, and asked me to run a boutique record label. And it was Big Finish Records. I don't know if you know Big Finish. They look after all of the Doctor Who audiobooks and things like that. So Doctor Who, people that love Doctor Who tend to know that name. And I ran a little boutique record label, and we had a couple of amazing women signed to the label. One of them was Nadia Ford, who has gone on to do some other things, but she at this point was known in Dublin, a bit of a kind of Kim Kardashian for Dublin, and we created a TV show around her and her escapades in Hollywood called Nadia Goes to Hollywood for TV3 in Ireland. And I also was in it as her mentor. So, and all of my friends got roped in LA. So, we got my friends who were producers, singer-songwriters, they all helped and played and performed with us. And then I got one of my best friends out there to direct. I produced, and it was a lot of fun, crazy times for 3 years doing that, creating that, and also creating her debut album campaign. So the music videos that went with that. Yeah, and I created my own EP at the same time. So I have an EP called Stateside Volume 1, which is available on Spotify. Once you get bored with Girls at Play,
skip up to that.
Yeah, and it's kind of my first sort of, I'd say, first part of my journey in LA. And I've got the songs waiting for Volume 2. They are already recorded, but I have yet to release them. So,
ooh. Yeah. Is that an exclusive?
Well, maybe. I mean, I'm just, I'm waiting for the opportune moment. They need mixing and mastering, but they're already there. And I'm super proud of those songs. And I actually sing them in the TV show because we did like a live performance at one point. So, yeah, they're, and that's Volume 2. And very much, I was very proud of those songs that we created out there.
Amazing. I've only been in LA very, very shortly between traveling in America. So I didn't really get to experience it properly. What is the LA life? Because every time I hear people talk about on podcasts or TV shows, they always say LA is trash. But is that true? Is it not friendly? Is it worse than London for that respect?
Interesting. I mean, it's such a big question because I don't think there's anywhere else like it in the world. And I think it's, I always say it's just like life, but times 10, right? Everything that's good about life and everything that's bad about life, it has in this one place, but it's all super fast and super exaggerated. So and what you've got is you've got an amazing place. It's the yin and yang right there. You've got an amazing place that draws these amazing creative brains and minds and talent, but you also have the flip side of what that brings. And you've got people over there that are transient who are there, and they've got a set time and a set idea of what they've got to be there for, and it just brings out the worst and the best in people, if that makes sense. And we always used to say when we're over there, don't hang out with someone unless they've been there at least 2 years, because they've kind of earned their stripes. Because what happens, and I say 3 actually, because what happens is for that first 2 or 3 years, everyone is an orphan out there. Like, people don't really have friends and family out there. So they're trying to find who they are in this new environment. And they're also trying to be whoever they want to be because they've gone there for a reason, usually. Sure. So that kind of mix, if you don't, so you've got to know who you are. And if you don't know, you've got to find out pretty fast. Otherwise, you're going to end up, there's a lot you can get involved in out there, and it can end badly. So although I kind of agree with those people, if I always say there's a lot of opportunity too. So if you are ready and you know who you are, and it's not going to shake that, and you will be tested, then you will have your turn at bat. You will have your turn to go and show people what you can do. And there's, and I've got friends out there that have done great things, but they've also, they're on the same journey anyone else is anywhere else. It's just more and intense, and the highs are higher and the lows are lower. So, and that's my experience. And that was so I came back in 2015, so it's nearly 6 years. I would say it's changed even more. I think from what I heard, a lot of people left after I left, obviously. Everyone left.
Yeah. Why bother being there?
Well, exactly. But my friendship circle, in all seriousness, they all did kind of one by one, like and my besties have actually, the ones that are still in the area, have moved to Palm Springs in Nevada, to Vegas. And that's really interesting to me too, because these are people that wouldn't come when I say home. Like one of them's German. I've got friends that have gone back to Scandinavia. I've got friends that have gone back to Austria, Australia. We came from all over the world to be in LA, right? But they have all kind of moved out because there's been a bit of a shift. And Trump, yes, that's part of it. COVID, that's part of it. But there's been a bit of a shift in LA, and I've not been back since. So apart from for a wedding on top of the W Hotel once. But I think things have slightly changed out there, and there's a lot of homeless people that are, there's a lot of social issues that need addressing, and it's changed, I think, maybe the feeling of the city. This is what my friends have told me. So that's interesting, and hopefully they'll figure it out, because I think it's an amazing place. But there's one thing I will say, the shift of also the focus on production. Because of the winners of the Oscars lately, the films that have won now are more global in their outlook. There's more diversity happening, and that includes not just Hollywood-made films. So I think for the film industry, I think that's really healthy. But I think what's going to happen is the knock-on effect is all around the world is going to have its chance to kind of create movies that everyone gets to see and know about. But Hollywood's going to go through a shift because of it. Because I think there's for years, decades, it's been the focus of that industry. And now that's shifting too. So I think there's something going on there. Who knows? If you believe in energy and, going through evolutions, then I think LA's definitely haven't won as a city.
Cool. I could listen to you talk about LA all day, because I didn't get to really experience very much. I did more of New York when I was over there. I was barely there, but I loved it. I want to go back so bad. But
that's another thing people say. Go on. I was just going to say, it's another people used to say, if you like New York, you won't like LA because they're so different. But I always think that you can't actually compare them. The reason that I think they say it to Brits that they like New York is that you can walk everywhere, which you can do in London, and in LA you can't. And in a lot of cities,
I was going to ask, do you need to drive everywhere in LA?
Everywhere. And you need to know where you're going too. And you can't do that thing. It was only coming back at, say, Christmases and stuff, where I would drive in the car in England and one, try and remember what side of the road I was on, but two, I'd look in windows, like houses, shops, and I just thought, I don't get to do that. Because you don't really have those kind of streets in LA where you can do that. It's weird. It's bizarre what you miss. But I recommend everyone moving away and living in another country if they can, if they're able to, because I think it's a really good way to get perspective on your own place and it kind of value your own home country. But anyway, yeah.
See, I'm a terrible driver, and that's why I had to leave the north, because I couldn't get anywhere. And now that's why I can't leave London, because the public transport here is too good. That's why I'll never be able to buy a house, but I'll be able to jump on the tube. So,
where are you from?
I'm from Manchester, in Bury.
Manchester. Oh, you have a soft Manc accent. I can hear it though.
I don't have. Can you hear it? Oh, can you?
Yeah, just a little bit. No, I can tell you were northern, but I hadn't placed it completely.
Yeah. For all the northerners think I'm from down south. I live from down south, a bit like. But my dad was in the army, and we moved around every 2 years. But we settled back in Manchester when I was year 7, year 8. So I just got this weird, generic-y, not northern, but kind of northern voice. Depends when I go there and I see my friends, the odd word slips out more as well.
It's vowels. It's you use, that's the same as me. People that can't place me, and depending on who I'm talking to, I'll totally morph into their accent. Sometimes I feel like I'm being rude as well, because I can't help it. I really want to copy people. Anyway, but when I say mum or Putney, which is where I'm from, with where I live, Putney. I'm like, oh, really? Okay. But other than that, and then for a while when I was in LA, it was this weird transatlantic weird thing.
Oh, did you have a LA accent?
Well, I don't think I did, but even just then, I'm thinking about it, there'd be the odd thing where I'd just start to talk a little bit American at the end, just in amongst the British accent, it would be like a twang, and I'd go up at the end, if I was talking to my Australian friends, and I'm just weird. I'm never one to ask about accents, because I love a good accent. But anyway.
I feel with LA, you just go up and make everything sound like a question.
Yeah. You've been watching Mean Girls?
We're here. Oh, God, I love Mean Girls. I can't wait for the musical version of the movie, which is going to be insane. We're here to talk about you and all things happy. And we are exclusive new thing I've never done on the podcast before, but this is the Champions of Happy. So we're going to start off with our happy moment. Insert sound effect here, whatever it is. That's it, yeah. I'll just use that as the soundbite forever now.
You can have that one, James.
Thank you. So just to get the ball rolling, basically I emailed you in the week saying I want to start the podcast off with a happy story, anecdote, memory, fact, fun fact. I'll get the ball rolling. Mine's very short and a bit go me. But this week I got my vaccine, and I'm absolutely terrified of needles. And I just want to say a massive thank you to all the staff there. I got asked by five people before I even walked into the room, all my details to confirm everything. And everyone was so sweet. Everyone was so kind. It was so efficient. I sat down and I had the nurse to my left, a man in front of me who was writing all my contact details down and such. And I said, I'm a little bit nervous, but I want to do this. Let's just get it done. And bless his heart, he started asking me questions about, what do you do for a living? And how are you? And before I knew it, the injection was over. And I knew exactly what he was doing. And I said, I knew what you were doing, but thank you all the same. I turned to the nurse. I said, thank you to you. And yeah, it was painless, and I was out in about 20 minutes, if that. So thank you to our amazing NHS staff. Bring on number 2, and let's get this sudden disease over with.
Kick it out the pool. Yeah, so it's funny because you say NHS staff, but I've got friends that are volunteering. A lot of them are just volunteers, or
yes, you're right.
People they're bringing in. So that's also very fascinating, isn't it? That those people are giving their time to help combat all of this. But well done. I'll give you a round of applause, James.
Thank you. Yeah, I was I wasn't terrified. I've been more nervous because I've heard this one wasn't that bad. But it's a needle. At the moment I look at a needle, I'm like, ah!
Were you poorly? How did it affect you?
I had not really, no. So I had my arm, I could barely, I just had trouble moving my arm because I had Pfizer. I had trouble moving my arm with it. I was just really sleepy. I was really tired when I got home. I was really tired on Thursday. I was a bit tired today, but I've kind of woken up a bit now. I've had wine, so yay. But no, overall, I was fine. My partner had another one. He was quite sick. Bless him. He went to bed. We went to bed, and he apparently had a fever, had shakes, had felt a bit nauseous. I slept through the entire thing, and we woke up in the morning and said, "Oh, how are you?" And he hated me because I would sleep through everything. And he's like, "Why didn't you help me?" I was like, "What? I didn't know."
I mean, I was the same. I had the shivers and the achy joints, and it was a little fever-like and flu-like before I went to bed. But then the next day, I just felt out of sorts. It wasn't really anything, but yeah, that's that feeling, isn't it? It's just like tiredness, and obviously you can feel that your body's doing something's going on. But I'm hoping the second one, which I've got next week, is not going to do that. But you never know. I don't know. I think everyone's completely different. That's the thing. Yeah. But well done, James.
Thank you. What is? I didn't get a sticker though. Fuming.
What?
Fuming.
Lollipop, at least.
I know. I got the card, which is one thing, for the Insta story. But I was like, "Where's my sticker?" So, what is your happy moment you'd like to share with us?
Okay, so when you emailed me this, I'm like, okay, which route do I go? Do I go? Because I have a lot of story. I've been a singer for a while, and I've sang in lots of situations, and I'm like, which story old yarn shall I tell, James? Which one do I think you'd appreciate?
Old yarn.
But, there's a few that come out in these scenarios, and I think you'd like the one about my curtains. I think that's what I decided, because I could tell you about the time when we sang to Manchester United. I could tell you about the time I jumped in with a ball gown, wearing a full ball gown on a small cruise ship as the sun was coming up in Monte Carlo. I can tell you about my lovely little cavapoo called Merlin, who brings me joy every single day. 2.5, and one of the reasons why I'm here is because he loves his Uncle Mike, and I can't not bring him to see my brother. I can tell you about all these things, but I thought I would tell you about the story of my, I suppose you can call it graduation, but I was 18. It was the sixth form ball. That's what we call it, isn't it? Sixth form ball. We're not American. And I couldn't be bothered to go. I was so, too cool for school, literally. Was like, oh, it's going to be so boring. Everyone from school, whatever. At this point, I'm wanting to be a pop star and, nothing's good enough. And I decide at this point, I am not wearing a gown like everyone else, some sort of taffeta frou-frou affair. I'm like, nope, that's not happening. I'm wearing black flares at this point, nice. Right? I'm wearing something that's just anti everything I can possibly do. So what do? I'm sitting there going, right, I've got these low slung, this is the late 90s, so like low slung black flares, and I'm like, right, what do I wear with? I know. I looked up at my bedroom and I was like, I'm going to wear the curtains in full Von Trapp glory. I pulled them down. So at this point I'd got red sort of organza kind of, I don't know, like a see-through-y net up in my on my window, like in a lovely design. I'd like made it. This is me, right, with all my movie posters and whatnot on my bedroom wall. That's what I decided was curtains. I'd put this material up there. Bear in mind, I'm studying fashion as well, so obviously I've got to make an entrance. I've got to do something good. So I pull down this red net material, wrap it round as a halter neck around my neck, switch it over my boobs, tie it round, and do a big bow at the bottom. So I don't know if you can imagine, kind of Holston-esque. Have you watched Holston on Netflix?
Yeah, no, I see it. Yeah.
Halter neck over the boobs, wrap round, big bow, and then like the trail, so that I would walk in with this like thing. So that's what I did, and I rocked up. Kind of really nonchalant, had some pictures taken as we went in, because obviously there's always a photographer at these things. Go in, grabbed the microphone from the band that were there. Was super annoying. I'm sure they wanted to like kill me, but I was like, I'm going to sing. Sang, I think, a Lenny Kravitz song, "It Ain't Over Till It's Over," and then left. It couldn't be bothered to stay for very long, and left and went and met my friends in the pub. But what I realised when I finally did see these pictures that came out and everyone saw at school is that the flash bulbs had made my net top completely see-through. So I was also flashing as well. I
mean, that's rock and roll though. That's pretty 90s rock and roll. Yeah.
So then I got in the girl band, and the rest is history. So obviously I earned my stripes by doing that. But yeah, is that fun? Yeah. Is that fun? Is that a fun story? Does that work?
That wasn't. Yeah, I mean, I don't think I'm ever going to hear that kind of story ever again. So. Yes, I was going to ask for pictures, but now I'm a bit like, maybe not.
They're in the Hall of Fame somewhere in my old school, maybe. I don't know. I do have a fun fact as well, though. Do you want to hear that?
Always.
Okay, good. Because I was like, this is fun too. It made me giggle anyway, so hopefully it makes other people happy. So according to Guinness World Records, the first person to be charged for speeding was Walter Arnold of the English village of Paddock Wood in Kent on January the 28th, 1896. Guess how fast he was going, James?
Oh, I'm not very good at this. 20 miles per hour.
8 miles per hour.
Oh my god!
So he was going 8 miles per hour, and it was a 2 mile an hour speed limit in this little village. And he was charged. He was fined £4.07 on his bike. He was on his bike, and the constable had to chase after him.
I mean, that was a lot of money back then, I imagine, as well.
I think that was a lot of money. Yeah, definitely. I'd be upset about that now.
Yeah.
So yeah, there you go. He was going 8 miles per hour in a Kent village in 1896. I don't know. That made me happy.
I hope there's a plaque there or something, or a warning.
I was thinking at least a coffee shop named after him.
Yes.
Do you know what you should get? What's the fastest cake in the world? Scone.
I don't know what's. Siobhan Bomb, Champions of Happy. You come here for some stories. You come here for some anecdotes. You come here for some comedy. What more do you want? Subscribe, rate, like it, vote us on some podcast episode.
Yeah, have another glass of wine. Yeah, cheers.
Have some more wine. Cheers. Yeah. So obviously, I first came across you when our mutual friend Ben, who has his own podcast, Once Upon a Screen, and his new drag race podcast, Once Upon a Queen. I think it was. I'd been home for Christmas, and I was coming home from Manchester back to London home, and I don't think I was feeling very well. But he told me he was going to this brunch in Acton at the Aeronaut. And it was a Disney. He didn't tell me much about it, but he told me it was a Disney brunch. There's going to be some singers and some cabaret. And I was like, And he told me about so much Prosecco was available for so much. I was like, okay, cool. I'm there. Fab. Rock up. Still not feeling too great. But then walk in, and the Aeronaut is this. I didn't realize how big the Aeronaut was since the outdoor brunch. But the Aeronaut is huge. It's like this kind of. I don't know how you'd describe it, circus tenty vibe, would you say?
Yeah, it's circus themed, yeah, for sure.
And I got there, and he was there. I can't remember who else was there. It was terrible, but it was a while ago now. But and your show, Impossible Things, you do a different. Well, this wasn't a brunch. This was an evening show. But you had an aerialist,
yeah,
hoop person, a lady with fire, doing some burlesque. I think there was a magician who was a bit cute actually, and he did a card trick, and he was quite nice. And obviously, our friend Mark was there, dressed up as the gorgeous Prince Charming. And I was just wowed, and I left feeling a lot better than I did when I first got there. How would you describe what exactly Impossible Things is? Because I just did a terrible job of that.
No, you didn't. So and the fact that you're even inviting me on your podcast, which is about Champions of Happiness, is really, or Champions of Happy, I should say, is really flattering. But also, it underlines, I think, what the best part of my job is, and that is that people genuinely, get endorphin fueled and come together in the best possible way, and are allowed to. We create a space where they're allowed to just be whoever they want to be at that point, and that's why the themes work. I think from your description, you came to the ball. You came to When You Wish Upon a Ball, which was a bit of a one-off for us, and that's why it was an afternoon evening event, because normally we do brunches, and our brunch that themed is When You Wish Upon a Brunch. So obviously Ben had to come with all of his connections to his podcasts as well. But so yeah, I'd say that we create immersive, interactive, fun-themed events that are experiences. They're not just shows. We do shows, and we do traditional cabaret, but we tend to always have some sort of interactive elements to it, whether that's a quiz, whether that's sing along, whether that's we encourage the heckling, we encourage the interaction like that, or whether it's actual interaction and you're part of the story, and that's what's happening. We've got a new immersive theatre event happening in July, which is very much moving us along into that kind of immersive theatre where people are part of the storyline, and we're going to give them stuff to do that moves the story along, and that's Brunchton, but we'll get to that, I'm sure.
Yes.
But so I would say that we are all of those things, and you can pick a theme that suits you and have a chance to air that outfit that you've had in the wardrobe for a little while because you went to a fancy dress party at one point and you really want to wear it again, or you're just a super fan of something, and we fully encourage that, because guess what, we are all super fans on the team. The thing we always say to people is that here at Impossible Things Entertainment, we kind of look at each other and go, right, what do we want to do next? Like, what do we want to do? Like, what do we want to wear? What should we do? That's what we do. Is we, it just so happens we sing, dance, act, play with fire, do crazy circus stuff. Amy swallows balloons, opera. I know Ben's a big fan of Chrissy Perkins, who's a super operatic voice. But we all do these amazing things. But really, what we do is we give people a safe place to come and join us and have fun too, and do the same thing. Obviously, not necessarily the opera part, but definitely the outfit, and definitely to have fun. And that, I think, is what's contagious, and I think that's our USP. I think that's what makes us special, maybe from the next immersive theatre company.
Nice. Just to name, because you've had so many different themes. To name a few, obviously you've had a Disney one, you've had a Taylor Swift one. You're about to do a 90s one, which I'm coming to shortly, which is next weekend, I think. Yes, next Sunday. I'll be there. I think you're about to do a Bridgerton styling one.
Yes.
Have I missed what other themes have you done? Have I missed?
So we do the Greatest Brunch, because obviously Aeronaut is very much that theme anyway, so that's really easy there. And we have the aerial hoop, and we sing all the Greatest Showman songs. But we have a Naughties Brunch, so we've got 90s Brunch, Saved by the 90s, then Naughty Naughties, so same kind of thing. We have a Power Ballad Brunch. We have we've done a Mean Girls Brunch in the past. We haven't done that for a little while. We do Rocky Horror, usually around Halloween. We have done even an Amy Winehouse one. We've got back to brunch. There's so many different ones we do, whether they're happening right now, because obviously everything we've been through is a slightly different thing. But what we're finding is when we first got back up and running, when we were allowed to in April, when we were outside and you came, we found that the generic kind of 90s, noughties music ones really went crazy. It's Britney Brunch, people love. So, but they went mad for the music ones because I think everyone loves them. You know, we do have quite nichey themes, which tend to have, say, more girls or more gay guys or whatever it may be. But I think what's happened is that people just want to party with their friends, and the 90s and noughties tends to tick a lot of boxes for people. And a lot of people bring their friends, as many as they're allowed to, obviously. But we had a birthday party the other day, and it was like all in sixes, but there was like a whole room of people that were all together, but they were all in tables with the partitions between them. It was quite funny to watch, really. All dressed up as well. The guys came as the Spice Girls. Like every single one of them was dressed. They looked so good, like wigs, shoes, buffalos, the lot. It was so good.
Buffalos. Who is your favourite Spice Girl?
Oh, it's got to be Jerry. Although I do love Mel B too, but I follow Posh, and I've met Posh twice. I met Posh when I was in the band. We were on a road show together, BBC One road show, when she was doing the Dane Bowers. You're out of your mind. Yeah,
I was listening to that the other day.
Oh my god, she had such dodgy hair? Yeah, what would you? Extensions. She had just dodgy extensions. God bless her though. But we were so excited to meet her, and we just kept looking over our shoulder to see if David was around. That was what we were doing. And then I have met her and David in a lift at Soho House in LA. That's a zhuzhy story for you. But I don't think she recognised me from our girl band days. I don't think she did. But yeah, she. So yeah. I have a soft spot for her because she's done such amazing things now with the label and fashion, and I've always had a penchant for fashion myself, so I think that's pretty impressive. But you know, Jerry was
I think she's really funny. I think
she is
just really funny.
She's really awkward to watch as a performer, but I think as a person, I enjoy her. I didn't really enjoy her on stage. I think Jerry was the one on stage. But you're talking to someone who, you know, I love the Spice Girls, right? We do spice up your brunch for a reason. It's all like let go, girl power, all the rest of it. But they have a lot to answer for, where a lot of people think that they can be pop stars, because the Spice Girls, let's face it, they weren't amazing voices. I mean, Mel C had a good voice or whatever, but they were just girls that you could like see down the street, and that was the beauty of it. That was what made it so amazing. But what happened, I think, after that is that everyone was like, "Oh, girl bands, they can't sing," and then girl bands, you know. And that always used to irk me as someone who's always sang, you know, since my early teens, and that was what I did. I consider myself a singer. I got into my girl band, which was post Spice Girls, so I have them to thank. And we were told we weren't allowed to sing a lot of the time. We would rock up to these venues and they'd be like, put this fake mic on and go on, do your thing, and then leave, and then go on to the next appearance. And we weren't even allowed to sing. And I'm like, what?
That's mad.
That's not. Yeah, and the funny thing is, I still got nodules, but I blame Rita, because we used to do stupid accents and stuff in the tour van. So, and also getting up at stupid o'clock and partying, which I'm sure you know nothing about, James.
So I'm a good boy. I bed at 9 o'clock. No wine. No.
He says as he's drinking his wine. I'm going to tell you, podcast people, he is drinking wine with an ice cube in there. Someone was quick to get that down their necks, and it wasn't chilled.
Oh, so.
As he drinks again.
Pop to the local co-op. I was like, I've got a podcast. What do I need? Where are my notes? No, where's the wine? More important.
So true. I think that's life, kids. That's your tip for life right there. As she takes her.
Get the wine in. I didn't realise how much of a Sugar Babes fan I was until this lockdown. I started listening to the first. I didn't really listen to the first album I listened to was Angels with Dirty Faces, and I was like, oh. I do like Sugar Babes, because I've always thought they've had like one or two hits here and there, but looking back, their albums are actually, oh no, this makes sense. This is good. I can see why they've gone as long as they have.
Yeah, I think what it is, they do have. I mean, so the noughties is the era that I went from the girl band and went into a function band. And I say that and people will be like, whoa. And at the time when I got the phone call, I was like, why would I want to do that? I've just been, you know, singing original, doing this, that and the other, having the time of my life. Why would I go backwards in my head and start singing covers? But here's the thing. It was a 12-piece band. There were 4 singers that fronted it. And we went and did some of the best gigs I've ever done in my whole entire life. Even to put, I would say better than even the girl band, because although the arena tours are amazing, we did some swanky, insane locations with, and real super VIPs. And yeah, I just say, and Sugar Babes makes me think of some of the songs we used to do, like Push the Button and Round Round, and those songs that we'd sing as a party band. So, but they had some great tracks. I think they had their issues with the old lineup, but I think they had some really great pop songs that I think when you listen to them again, you were like, actually, this is a really good song. I was an All Saints fan though. I think I like perhaps All Saints just that little bit better.
Yeah. No, All Saints are great. They're cool. They're just cool, aren't they? They're just effortlessly cool.
They were the antidote, weren't they, to the Spice Girls? But I mean, Pure Sure's just a beautiful song. But I mean, the Spice Girls, after Who Do You Think You Are, when they came bombing out at the Brits, that was it. I was like, yeah, all right. I've been resisting, but I'm buying it. I'm buying what they're selling. And at that point, I was like, yeah, fair. So there you go.
Are there any artists or bands or musicals that you'd really like to do for a brunch or an evening, but you don't think would really land, but you just want to do it for a purely selfish reason?
I mean, I am a musical fan. I'm not a musical theatre person in comparison with some of the people that are on the team. Theatre. I am a pop girl. I'm a pop music songwriter, singer. I always wanted to be in music in that sense, and sing originals. The idea of doing the same show 8 times, 9 times a week, it doesn't fill me with joy. However, I say that, and like all performers, I think there are always certain pivotal moments in their childhood where they went, oh my goodness, and they were obsessed. And I was obsessed with West Side Story, obsessed with it, and Grease, obviously. Everyone's obsessed with Grease. Like you always have to reenact Grease with your siblings and your cousins. Like that's the law. And I loved singing Grease stuff, and I still sing any Rizzo song. Obviously, it's always got to be There Are Worse Things I Could Do, OVS. But West Side Story was the one for me, and it still gives me goosebumps. And they're about to release the Steven Spielberg version, which I'm quite apprehensive about. I'm sure it's going to be amazing, but I'm also, when you're like, something means so much to you as is, you're like, why are they redoing it? Why can't they find new ones? Which I think they should actually find new musicals, because there's lots of talent out there. But I'll be intrigued to see what Steven Spielberg has done with it. We shall see. But if I was, if people have asked me before, like, who would I want to play? And I think obviously it sort of changes as you go through your career and your age range changes. But I would love to play Nancy in Oliver, or Tracy Lord in Philadelphia Story if it was a straight play, or I think High Society if it was the musical. Tracy Lord is my favorite. So Philadelphia Story is my favorite film of all time, and it's Katharine Hepburn that plays Tracy Lord in the film with Cary Grant and James Stewart, and that's my idea of heaven right there. So there you go.
Lovely. Sweet.
I think leave you with that. Me in between Cary Grant and James Stewart. Just have a little moment. There we go. Yeah. Forget Katharine Hepburn. I pushed her out, and it's just me in between them. There we go.
Do you have a Katharine Hepburn impression?
Really, darling, really. I could do Katharine Hepburn, but are we doing Eleanor of Aquitaine? Is this Line in Winter, or is this Tracy Lord? And Tracy Lord, I tried to think of a line for Tracy Lord. But anyway, that's my Katharine
That was very
Hepburn.
good. Round of applause, live studio audience. Round of applause. Thank you. That was incredible.
I would definitely want to meet her though. If everyone has that like who's your celeb dinner party.
Ooh, yeah.
She'd definitely be in there. But also Bette Davis. But there are a few that I'd love to meet.
Claudia Wilkenman, she's on the list for me.
Very funny. I love her.
I think she's just cool. Who else is on my list? You didn't ask him.
I think you sound like you've got the same taste as me, because it's funny's good. Funny has to be in. Dawn French and Jennifer Saunders.
Yeah. Jennifer Saunders was there at my university graduation. She did a whole speech. My uni gave her a degree for just being Jennifer Saunders, and she gave this really funny speech, and my sister recorded it, but she didn't know how to use my camera, so it was a little bit out of focus, but it's her, I promise, and she's great. I love her. She's
insane. So talking to podcasts, have you listened to their Audible original Titting About?
No.
They did it during lockdown. But the two of them had not been together for ages, and they just got together during lockdown. It's genius. It's just them talking about different subjects, titting about. It's just heaven. Talk about happiness. There you go. Listen to that,
Oh.
whatever mood you're in, and you will end up feeling happy. Because that for me is everything. That's my mum's sense of humour. That's who I become. I become Jennifer Saunders if someone tells me to ad-lib in a show. I've realised no matter who I am, whether it's I'm playing a comedy Marie Antoinette or, Cersei from, we did a show called Dragons and Titties. Am I allowed to say that? Dragons and Titties, which is obviously our spoof on Game of Thrones. And I'm Cersei and I have a lot of wine. I drink throughout the whole thing. There's a theme here emerging. And I'm there and I've got this mic and I'm just basically being Cersei to the audience and being awful, which is just heaven. And of course people shout stuff out, but I realise I become Jennifer. Like, you're just like, oh, that's who I sound like. And my mannerisms and everything. And then we actually even did, me and Amy was Brienne of Tarth on stilts. Amy's like 5'3". I'm 5'9". And there's the two of us and she's on stilts being Brienne of Tarth and I'm Cersei. And we sang I Know Him So Well with our own lyrics, our revised version for Game of Thrones with our own lyrics. And I had a cardboard cutout of Jaime Lannister. And we were singing about Jaime Lannister, singing I Know Him So Well because of French and Saunders, because we loved that skit where they sing it. So there you go.
And Jaime Lannister, I've literally finished Game of Thrones for the first time last week. Jaime Lannister is a hunk.
Oh my God, yeah.
Yes.
Am I going to have to sing I Know Him So Well with you now because you fancy him too?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I will do an appalling job of
I know him
so well. Oh God, that was terrible.
Beautiful, James.
Thank you so much.
All right, you can have him. That was just so cute. You can have him.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, literally finished it last week for the first time. My boyfriend has watched it before, but I hadn't. I think I watched the first series and I was like, I don't get it, don't like it. And then we watched it and I was like, the more I watched, the more I liked it. And I was like, oh, and I didn't know anyone's names other than Jaime, Tyrion, Cersei, Dragon Lady, Jon Snow, old guy, Sam. Everyone else had like a nickname. The rest of them, I'm like...
Dragon Lady's a nickname for... Obviously, you're talking about Daenerys there, right?
Yeah. But even her name, I keep forgetting.
Love that. Well, she had several in it, so you'd be... I don't blame you for...
Breaker of Chains.
Yes. Mother
Something
of Dragons.
Smacker of Dragons.
Doer of Dry Cleaning. Yeah, that kind of stuff.
And I actually didn't mind the ending either. I know, because at the time, I heard people were really annoyed at the last series. And I was like, I'm all right with this, actually. This is, yeah.
That's nice. No, do you know what was brilliant? It's probably one of those, it will never happen again. But we were performing Dragons and Titties every Saturday at the point where it was the last season and it was on TV. And I have never been in a situation where you've got super fans in the audience, which we're used to super fans, but it was electric because you'd got something that had happened the week before or whatever, and they were waiting to see if we put it in, and we did. There were people that came again and again each week to see what we did with it, and I've never been in that position, and I don't think it'll ever happen again because it was so popular. And for example, this third episode they finished with Jenny of Oldstones. You know the song? It's like a folky song that's super beautiful and haunting, and Florence Welsh did a version of it for Game of Thrones, and I'm like,
yes, I do know.
At the end of that episode, messaged Amy straight away, went, it's going in. She's like, oh my God, it's so going in. So we added it the next week, and honestly, I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. We had like hoods on and candles, and there were 3 of us that came out singing it. It was so good, and I'm getting goosebumps. And then Kaylee came out on point, and she danced. She was Jenny of Oldstones because it talks about her and her, being a ghost. Oh my God, so good. And that was how we started the second act of the show. And honestly, I don't think it'll ever happen again where everything's so that current that people are like amazed that we've even been able to put it in the show. It was such a pleasure. And part of me is like, I don't know. I mean, we had amazing circus. We had a duo pole act that was Daenerys and when she was Dothraki. Like, we had some crazy, amazing stuff. And when you're like, how can we do this again? But can I
make a special request that you do a Ab Fab inspired brunch, please? That
what
way
would
you
we
can
call
be
it?
Wonders.
Bolly, darling.
There you go. It writes itself.
Bolly brunch. Le Croix, sweetie. Bolly brunch, yeah. I mean,
Loads of songs
I've
there.
seen a couple of drag brunches do it. I don't know if it was a brunch or whether it was a show, but I would love to do that. You know, my brother, when I said to my brother, I'm just going to go up and use the office just to do the podcast, and I said, I've got to think of something happy. And he went, tell them that I was in an absolutely fabulous film. Tell them that. I was like, Mike, that doesn't make anyone happier than you, but fine. So that was what he wanted me to say as well. It is Harness, no less. At Vauxhall Tavern, I think it was, or something.
Oh, yeah, I think I know the scene. What's your brother called?
You probably know him from that scene. He's called Michael Cowlishaw.
Michael, you did a fantastic job in the film, by the way. I'll have to watch it again, but I'm sure you look great. So, the future. You've got Bruncherton.
Yes.
Coming up.
Bruncherton and the Pleasure Gardens, because we're all history nerds.
Are they two different things, those events? Or are they the same events?
It's on the same day, but what we're doing is we're doing a brunch, which is 2 sittings, so 11 till 2 and then 2:30 till 5:30. 2 sittings of brunch, because it's immersive theatre, so we're doing it like that. And also because of limits for the venue, so we have to kind of limit it and do it in sittings. And then after a certain point, it becomes the Pleasure Gardens. And the reason that we're doing I'd say the Pleasure Gardens are a little more risque, if you will, sir.
The Pleasure Gardens, is that the gardens behind the RVT, or am I completely wrong?
Yeah. The original, most famous pleasure gardens in London were the Vauxhall Pleasure Gardens. Yes. And further down was the more posher, aristocratic Ranelagh, I don't quite know how they pronounce it, but Ranelagh Gardens, which is featured in Vanity Fair, the latest Vanity Fair that was on TV. But Vauxhall Pleasure Gardens went on for like 250 years, and it was the place to go. I don't know if you've ever noticed at Vauxhall Station, there's a plaque, like a thing that's, because it's not a lot, it doesn't tell you about the history, but there's a little bit there you can find. A guy called C.H. Simpson, who used to welcome people to Vauxhall Pleasure Gardens by doing a myriad of extravagant bows. He would just do, and it makes me think of like Monty Python's Ministry of Silly Walks, but he would just do a flurry of bows all the time. So C.H. Simpson's going to be at the Pleasure Gardens, because we were all like, oh, he's got to be there. Might be one of the girls dressing up, but we'll see. So there you go.
What can we expect without any spoilers, or is that even?
I mean, it's fine. No, you can expect, if you're a Bridgerton fan, you can expect everything that you saw in Bridgerton. We're going to have, we have to really, don't we? We have to represent the Duke. The first question everyone asks is the Duke going to be there? I mean, I can't, say that the exact actor who is no longer in season 2 will turn up. I would love that to be the case. But we are definitely going to represent the Duke. We are going to have the Duchess, and we're going to have her maybe some stuff going on with her, the lessons in love that she got from the Duke. We maybe have a little bit of that going on. Definitely some gossip. We're going to have the wardrobe mistress. What was her name? The French one, Madame.
Oh, she was in 2 packets of lager, packet of crisps.
Catherine Drysdale. Catherine Drysdale, but I can't remember the name of her character. Anyway, we're going to have our wonderful Souvenir, who is our wonderful drag queen. She's going to be hanging around the girls' toilets, which sounds really dodgy, with accoutrements, spray, tape measure, combs, beautiful adornments for everyone's wigs to help them with what they look like. So that's what Souvenir is going to do. We're going to have Queen Charlotte pop up, of course. She has to pop up. We have the wonderful Tatiana, who's going to be our Queen Charlotte. And I haven't decided quite who we've got Angelique Choreographique, who is going to teach people how to dance. Who's the wonderful Amy. She's going to be Angelique and teach everyone dance moves so that you've got a full dance card. And then, there's going to be opera. There's going to be wonderful, beautiful singing. Maybe Chrissy will pop up and sing us some tunes, but we're going to have a lot of fun. And I think what's nice about the Winchester Club, which is Winchester House Club, I should say, is that it's got all these lovely rooms and front and back garden, and people will kind of feel immersed in the story, and they will get things to do, and there will be gossip that we need them to spread, and things like that, as well as, Prosecco. And
should people come dressed up for this? How does it work? Was it like, should I get the corset out now? Or?
Like, you don't have an 18th century outfit in your wardrobe. You do.
I mean,
which means
I do. Oh, I put another one. It was good, but just need to get the corset and just really tighten it up a bit more.
That's what they did then. Gin and corsets. Just sort you right out.
Super. That's so exciting. So when is that?
Okay, so Brunchton and the Pleasure Gardens is happening on the 24th and 25th of July, which is the Saturday and Sunday. And if that one goes well, sells well, then we'll probably do it again at the end of August. And obviously, fingers crossed, all these restrictions permitting, because any trouble with that, we should just put it back to the end of August. But I think we'll be fine. Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed.
Because it's immersive and we want people to be able to wander around freely without having to be escorted and all that malarkey. We're kind of wanting to make sure that restrictions have lifted. But, it'll happen one way or another, and everyone will get a chance to wear their best wig. Everyone's got one of those knocking about in their wardrobe, haven't they? Yeah. Like a Marie Antoinette full-on powdered wig, right?
Just a little mole. Done.
Heart-shaped mole. James, I can't wait to see it. Bloop, bloop. You're going to rock up like Lord Byron.
I'm excited to see who your Duke is going to be. He's in the show. He's so fit. So fit.
Let's face it, that's why we watched Bridgerton. We didn't watch it for it wasn't the storyline, was it?
Jamie Lannister and the Duke. I'm a happy man.
I think we'll be fighting over him, though. Yes, to answer your question, obviously the Duke has to be fit. We do have a couple of guys that we are hoping to Bagsy for it, but it depends on who's free and what's what. But yeah, for sure. We only have beautiful people at the Bridgerton.
Speaking of your team, how many core members are there of Impossible Things? I don't know why I'd
say core as far as day-to-day work would be 3 of us. There's me, Amy's my creative partner, Heather does our social media, and of course you've met Heather and Amy. They both perform, as all of the team do. The team are multifaceted, multi-talented, and that's why I love them, just like myself. But yeah, we have, and then I would say then the next rung of that would be the performers, but we always have an ensemble that we go to first. So we've got the wonderful Kaylee, who played Melisandre, and she also was Cersei doing the Walk of Shame on glass, and she also was Amy Winehouse when we needed to be, and she does amazing stuff, Kaylee. Kaylee's our sultry circus sideshow performer. She's also 1/3 of the Candy Heartbreakers, who are Amy's trio. Amy is 1/3 too, and they do lots of stuff for me. So whether it's 1940s work with Imperial War Museum, or so they do the Fall on Feathers and all the rest of it, or whether it's the Greatest Brunch or whatever, the girls can tap dance, they can dance, do the traditional stuff, ballet, but they can also swirl around on hoops and poles and things and do crazy fire acts. So I would say that's my core, and then the extended guys I have, Craig Webb and some beautiful vocalists, Chrissy if we need classical. I'm very lucky because what I do in London has meant that I have these amazing friends, and they are friends who we just want to hang out with, and just so happens we all just get so much joy from singing and performing that we can make a living out of it because it's contagious. And I think people want us to come back for that very reason, because we're mates hanging out. That's really the essence of what we do in an outfit, So Amy and I are just always coming up with new ideas so that we can keep doing that.
That's beautiful. That's really lovely. Got the feels there. So obviously during COVID, you and your team were doing Once Upon a Crime, which I've been a part of, which was amazing. It was essentially a live Zoom murder mystery. A mystery was had. There was a murder, and you had recorded videos, and you'd have to do clues, and then you go take into another video. But then you guys would jump in and then help with the story and the crime. Where did that? Did you? What? Firstly, this might not go on the podcast. Was that filmed in Chiswick?
Yes, and you can keep this in. We're about to start new brunches at George IV there in Chiswick. So literally your manor. Yeah.
Yay!
And I should put it out there to your podcasters. Maybe they have some ideas about what they would like us to do, what themes we would like to do. And we are all ears, because I'll give you a bit of an exclusive. We had a meeting yesterday, and we're going to do this as soon as it's definite that restrictions are lifting. So end of July, we will be doing things like Power Ballad Brunch there. We're looking at a smashed hits brunch. So that will be 70s, 80s, 90s, noughties, nice, depending on what vibe we're going for. And we're looking also at Brunch Upon a Time, rather than When You Wish Upon a Brunch, but Brunch Upon a Time. So it opens it up to books. So you can talk about obviously all the Roald Dahl books, but then Harry Potter, whatever books you're into, really, even Twilight, anything, Hunger Games. So Brunch Upon a Time, but also we've been discussing a Musical Madness brunch, because I don't know if you know about that, but we have an open mic called Musical Madness that we tend to do. Pre-COVID, we were doing sort of every other month, and then we went online and did one online, which was really successful. So we're thinking about doing a Musical Madness brunch, because we think, obviously, up the musicals, and it needs that push after it's had such a hard time recently, the musical theatre world. But also we're talking about Brunch-a-mia. Here we go again, and maybe doing like a Mamma Mia, because everyone loves ABBA, right?
I love these names. They're just great. They're so smart. They're so
Brunch-a-mia, and then two more that I have to say on the names tip that you might like. Nobody Puts Brunch in the Corner. What's that one?
That's not Flashdance. It's oh my god, Dirty Dancing. I always get those two mixed up.
Edit it out. Don't worry, you'll sound really clever.
Yeah, I got it.
And then the other one is Brunches Assemble, a marvelous.
I was going to say, can you do this as well?
Really?
Yes. I love Marvel. I'm a massive geek.
So is my brother.
That's
you
exciting.
need to meet him. It sounds like you do need to meet him. But I'm trying to look to see if there's anything in this office, but it's all over his walls. He's got all the Lego pictures, and he's complete Marvel nut. And again, we're going to
involve the X-Men.
Yeah, we're going to get Kaylee dressed as Wonder Woman, and she'll do some crazy stuff like with lassos and the pole, and I don't know. But so you'd go to that one then?
Oh, 100%. I love Marvel. Love. Okay. Just a little side note for you. Wonder Woman is DC, not Marvel.
Oh,
just so you know. Just so you know.
But I mean, so is it open enough if we say Brunches Assemble? Is that people just going to go, it's Marvel only?
Yeah, I would have assumed. I'd be being the geek I am. I'd be like, if I saw Batman, Superman, I'm like, well, they're not part of the Marvel universe.
So that's good, because if we do Brunches Assemble, a marvelous brunch, people are going to just think it's Marvel. So I'm going to have to maybe call it the Super.
But you could do and Friends.
But are they friends in that universe?
No, I mean no, not really. But yeah.
How do I do this? I'm going to have to ask you, because you're the expert, to come up with a brunch name for it.
I'm gonna have to think. I'm not as quick as you are. I'm gonna have to sit on that one.
Time. Don't worry. There's no. It's not countdown. There's no on the spot situation.
Marvel Super Brunch. No, that's crap. I will come back to you on that one.
I would put it in the caption when you advertise this podcast on your Instagram, and
But yes, I'd be there in a heartbeat.
In a flash.
In a flash. See. This is why you do what you do, and I listen to the people who do what you do.
And you try to
I sit down and be quiet, and everyone else is the funny people. But you mentioned something about Fringe with Once Upon a Crime. What's the dealio with that?
So Once Upon a Crime definitely is a whodunit. It's our immersive digital whodunit, and we tried to take what we do on stage and bring it to the people online, which is why we host it in a live character format, because I think that's part of what makes it different to maybe other escape rooms games that people have done over lockdown. So I wouldn't even describe it as an escape room, even though some people try and do that. I think it's immersive theatre with a whodunit element. So that's the way I do it. It is, going to Ed Fringe. We are going to be part of Assembly Festival, which is the venue that we're attached to for it. And we haven't got the definite link yet, but it will be popping up on our Instagram site, which is Impossible Things UK. And you can also get us on Facebook that way. And impossiblethingsentertainment.com is the website. But we will be shopping that around for the month of August whilst Edinburgh Fringe is on. And it's our first Ed Fringe, so we're super excited. And we're hoping that will be a precursor to maybe doing it live the following year. Whether it'll be Once Upon a Crime live, that we'll do some sort of show version of it. Or whether we'll have another play by then, because I am writing an 18th century play right now based on the women of Mayfair, and some of the awesome women that were around at that point. I've just decided that they all knew each other, and created a story around that. So hopefully one way or another we'll be in person at the Edinburgh Fringe next year. But this is our first Ed Fringe with Once Upon a Crime online, and we're very excited.
That's incredible. You sound so busy. You've got your hand in all the pies, fingers in all the pies.
No, I'd say hand. I'd say I love pie. So I'm like, put my hand in, eating it, doing all of that. Yeah, I'm always busy, but only because I just love what I do. So it's kind of, I'm always feeling like, come on, I want it all. I want the whole pie. Come on, let's do it. That's part of the fun for me. I'm just lucky enough to have amazing, creative, talented people around me that go, okay, and we can do it together.
What was your favourite kind of pie?
Well, there's the question. The classic apple pie is always going to be a winner, but I'd say cherry. I love a cherry pie.
Oh.
Yeah.
So I was going to go for more savoury, just a full-on steak pie, bit of gravy.
Well, I have to say,
Northern,
the pie that gets me the most invitations, or it did in LA when I used to cook it, is a Swedish recipe that I got because I dated a Swede for a while, and it was his mormor's recipe, and it's a mincemeat pie, and it's bloody lovely. You're making me hungry now. It's really good. And for those vegans out there, I'm sure you could do a version that's vegan, because I've got a lot of friends that are vegans, but my brother.
They're not here, so
no, they're not here. And my brother's house is very much a meat house, but it's really good. I can send you the recipe if you're into
Please
baking.
Do. Yeah,
pies.
I'm curious. I like a pie. Yeah, I do a good pie. Yeah.
This conversation is just amazing.
We have come to the end of the podcast now, just because I ran out of pie jokes. But thank you very much for joining us. You did mention your socials, but can you preach them again to us, please?
Absolutely. We are at Impossible Things UK on Instagram, Facebook, and impossiblethingsentertainment.com on the old web. If you want to find me on Spotify, it's Lynsey Shaw, and the EP is Stateside Volume 1, and I'll let you just Google Girls at Play if you want to have that kind of fun.
Thank you so much. This has been so much fun, and I'll see you next week actually at the brunch. So
fantastic. Saved by the 90s. What are you wearing?
Saved by the 90s.
A little bit more than what you're wearing right now? Or this outfit, maybe?
I might do my hairs and curtains, maybe. Actually, I look terrible in curtains. I can't pull them off. But I don't know. I need to sit down and think about that one.
I told you all about my curtains. So
yes. Cool. Well, I will say goodbye now then, and I'll talk to you soon.
Fantastic. Thank you for having me, James. It's been an absolute pleasure, and I love the whole ethos behind your podcast. I think it's really special.
Oh, thank you.
Everyone, be happy.
Be happy. Ah!